Hello, weekend warriors. Welcome back to the workshop. I got a question. When your big brother gives you a large oak tabletop, laminated oak tabletop, but you don't need another tabletop, what do you do? Well, what you do in this case is you build a pizza press. And so that's what we're going to do. I've got this nice wide 1-inch thick wood. It's oak, like I said. So it's nice and heavy. It should do the job for me great. So I'm going to split this thing down. I'm going to break it down to two 16-inch squares, and we're going to roll from there. So y'all hang on, and I'll be back with pieces ready to assemble. Okay, I got all my pieces cut. I got all the joinery work done, as you saw in the little bits of video there. So now it comes time to put this guy together. So what I have my hinges, which won't go just yet. I've got my bottom struts for the bottom piece. I've got my handle supports that will link up with the struts. I got my handle. Well, I still have to round over the edges on the handle. I got a piece to go underneath the handle, so when it's pressing down, it doesn't totally screw up the back of this, and it adds a little bit of support to the top. And I've got the bottom. Now the bottom, I've already got laid out with a center line, the edge of one of the struts, and the outer edge of the strut. So when I get this one down, I'll put the handle in between, and I'll get the other strut down. And since they're being glued and screwed, it's going to be a matter of just mounting these guys up and then letting the glue dry. So let's get that done. All right, I'm ready to start putting this guy together. And so the first thing I did was clamp a guide strip into place. So this is going to allow me to take my my strut here. And you notice on the strut, I've clamped the handle support into place already. What this is going to do for me is help me line up to the edge of the bottom where I want that handle support to be. So I'm able to just go right up against my guide strip there, and I can double check for square if I could get my square in there. There we go. Double check for square, and there we go. I'm definitely square. So now it's a matter of gluing, sinking a couple of screws, and letting this guy dry. While that's drying, I can attach the other side. So no sense in sitting around in normal speed for this part. Okay, it's time to put the hinges on, and as you can see, I've taped the hinges in place exactly where I want them to be, level, straight, and marked off from the edge just where I want them to be. So now I'm going to take my hinge bit in my cordless. I'm just going to get myself starter hole in each one, and then I'm going to sink screws. And then I'll show you what I did to get my press height just where I want it to be. There we go. Now both hinges are set. We're nice and even. Now, I like kind of a thinner crust. And my crust tends to rise anyway when I'm baking it. So, I put spacers in between before I set the hinges. One of them, well, they're both 3/16, but one of them is leftover bar stock from the last project. And the other one's just a little block of wood. So I'm going to leave those in place while I set the handle up. So I've got to set the handle supports, then figure out exactly what height I want the handle at, and then I can even trim down the handle support some. Okay, it's almost done. Now, in case you haven't noticed, this thing is just a giant tortilla press, but I think it'll work good for pressing out pizza dough. But I can't find that out just yet. Because first, well, you saw me glue on the base runners, whatever I called them before. I've put the arm supports on and I've glued them and screwed them. You can see down here in the corner, there's 2 screws in each. 1/4-inch pivot bolt going all the way through. I've put my pivot block and my stop block into place, so the arm is going to have something to rest on when I'm pressing down, and then when it is even on both blocks, I know I've got a 3/16 inch dough. But I can't find out how it works yet because 1, I got to wait for the glue to dry, and 2, I don't have any dough made besides pizza nights tomorrow night. So I'll see you then. I'll be back then. Okay, I made some modifications. I tried to use this last night. As a matter of fact, I did use this last night to make pizza, but my crust was coming out a little bit thicker than I wanted it, and I wasn't getting as much spread, which would make sense. So, and most of that was caused by the fact that the upper part here was flexing as I was crushing the dough. And so, and it was flexing because it is edge glued laminate, and so that allows it a little bit more flex. So what I did was I found myself a scrap piece of oak sitting in my pile, and I put it on the back as a stiffener. So let's try it this morning. Let's throw some wax paper down here. And I also pulled my bread machine back out, and I made myself a small batch of dough. So I'm going to go ahead and put said small batch of dough back down. And over the top, another piece of wax paper. Just because I'm not making a mess with flour this morning. Okay. And I will squeeze this down. One other thing I need to do is I need to shorten this handle a little bit. I made it a little bit too long. All right, so you get it squished down, and then I'm going to put another block down in there to cause me to have to put a little bit more pressure on the dough. And I'm going to leave some pressure on it, allowing the fibers in the dough to relax. And I don't know if it's fibers, whatever, it's going to allow the dough to relax. It's going to allow it to spread as it stays under pressure. And, you know, about 30 seconds is all you need. So I'm going to leave it here, and, well, let's take a look. And that looks like a pretty decent sized pie there. That's at about 12 inches, and I can even go bigger if I let it sit a little bit longer. So we'll put pressure back down on it. I wonder if maybe I ought to just add some clamps to the edges and leave them clamped down. But, you know, even if this seems like a little bit of hassle, it's not really, because when I'm doing this in the kitchen, I'm spreading out flour and cornmeal, and I'm having to do this by hand, and I end up with a bigger mess in the kitchen. Whereas using the press here, I might put a little bit of flour down, but the wax paper kind of takes care of any sticking issues, and it transfers from the press right onto a pan, and allows me to get right to the toppings. Okay, I think that's long enough. And there we go. That's looking a little bit bigger. It looks now, there we go. There's my 13-inch pie right there. So a little bit longer time and allowed me to get another inch in diameter. So there we go. That looks like a decent sized pizza to me. So I'm going to make a couple modifications in the design, and those will go onto the plan. The plan will go up on the website probably sometime this week. So we'll do a little culinary stuff as well as woodworking. So, and then we'll come up with another project to do. I promise I'll get to that mitered corner box at some point. But until then, y'all keep up the good fight. You got any ideas? Tell me what the idea is, and just email them to me, and we'll see what we can do.